Hello and Allahu Akbar to all the people of the planet, the Baha'is, the non-Baha'is alike. Today's 24th of December, Christmas Eve. Time is 10 o'clock in the night. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Continuing my discussion on the last time, I said that I will continue to talk about the habits. And these habits are they are at the personal, individual level. There are social habits and there are religious habits, and sometimes they have a derogatory effect in our life as a person, as a nation, as the generations in the case of religious habits. Talking about the mechanism of habits, if I look, always, myself, look at driving. You know how we drive, or the typists that are always, I'm amazed. My typist talks to me even, and she types as if there is an eye installed on her fingers. The eye knows exactly, the finger knows exactly where to go. And of course this comes by the habit. Habit is the accumulations of doing something over and over. For a computer, it's like we are downloading the program. And then it goes, as the psychologists in the West, they like to call it, it goes to the subconscious. And our brain does not use anymore the willpower to do it, as if it has the order what to do. So much so, if for the first time the person who drives, even though he just got his license, let's say goes on a busy highway like 401, he would have to be always careful completely with the pedal, the car and everything else. He's more a danger, although he's fully focused on driving, rather than the person who has done this probably several years and he doesn't even think. His legs automatically is connected to his previous desire and automatically will go there. Brain knows what to do. That is, initially was started with a willpower to drive or type in this case, and as soon as this put into place, just like a channel, as if you've dug down a channel, the water goes through this ditch, through this channel, that desire automatically takes itself into that. So the person who is experienced, which means have come into the habit of driving and the habit of typing, can do that better, with less mistake. So of course, I'm looking at my notes. Driving and typing is not a instinctive desire, so we do not get addicted to typing or to driving. We might feel a joy, but it's not an addiction that we have to do that. It could come for certain people at a certain social level that they would have to do that, depending on the circumstances that is associated with the habits. But in the case of things such as smoking, or many other things as such, we're sending directly something inside the body, then it becomes addiction. Addiction is I've spoken about it before. Basically, it's just like the movies. Sometimes you hear the Phantom. They install some kind of a chip in the brain, and they order the brain to do things for their purpose. Material, habits such as the smoking or even alcohol, it causes that. that nicotine is like a chip, it's a computer chip in the brain, and it mimics the will because there's no place in the body that wants to have this, so it rejects it. But once you're pushing it into it, then it just goes into the brain, it seems, and mimic itself as a real desire, and the poor brain doesn't know how to fight it. It's like growing something. I remember as a kid, very small kid, I was probably 5 years old, and my city, my village I should say, somewhere in Iran called Amirabad. My father was doing something very strange that I didn't understand what it is even at that time. I was amazed with it, that he would, we had a plum tree because we had a garden with a lot of fruit trees. I think we had, I don't know, plum tree or apple tree. I think it was a plum tree with black plums. He would cut a branch and make the pit, which is the central core of the plant, stems, make that pit about a couple of inches bare, it's like a finger open, and he would take a stem and branch from an apple tree, which would be the same kind of a size of the pit, I believe, and he would carve the pit out of the apple and open it up, and the pit of this plum would go inside the pit of the apple, and he would put some wood and things like that, just like a broken hand, and they would tie it and hold it. Lo and behold, I don't know how long after, but the plum tree would give apple. So we had a plum tree that also would give apple. These desires are like this. When we get into the habit of smoking, for example, or other things like that, we're growing something that feeds the original root and everything else, but gives a different fruit. In this case, the fruit of the desire of smoking. So, and this is in the case of the bad habits. But if it's coming out of the fulfillment, of the instinctive desire that, creates those good moods and creates habits, which is not directly coming from the habits. When I'm talking about the instinctive desire, it's not necessarily that out of the eating directly or out of, having sex, but the means to fulfill that. For example, we drive to a certain place to get food. It's all the purpose of driving when it becomes to get food or to fulfill some other instinctive desire. That's when the habit comes in, it kicks in. Exactly like typing and driving that I explained before. In those cases, habits, could be not bad, because it seems that there's no way out of the habits. Somehow, you're prone to get it. Like my example of driving and typist, if you do it, but you have to do it, it's a legitimate job, and what you're going to get, you're going to get habituated to that, and they're going to just keep doing it. And in the beginning, always, it uses the willpower, but after some time, it just seems it's like a program installed, it works on its own. And these habits may not be good, because it creates that monotonous, you just keep doing something over and over and over. And you could lose your concentration feeling too comfortable in a car and have an accident. Man is better to always be in charge of what he does himself, firsthand, rather than use the installed program that is saved on his brain, It is better for us always to do new things. Always be fresh approach, not to just keep doing that, because it does create problem for us, these habits. Essentially, these habits are always associated with certain things. I always remember that Pavlov dogs, that the dog would eat when the bell rings certain times, and this eating and the ring of the clock were associated together. So at the time he had no food for the dog, but the bell would ring and the clock would ring, and the dog would want to eat again. So it's like us, that let's say, you know, you learn to drive, or you're driven always in the rain, you know, associated with rain. When the rain comes, you feel like driving. These two circumstances that is associated with it, it comes with a habit. So lots of time we can get rid of the bad habits,